For those of you who don't know, I'm Maggie, and today I wanted to share a little bit with you about my experience with the program called 30 Days to Minimalism. Now, I say program, but it's really just this printable PDF of all of these different categories of things in your house that you clean out over the course of 30 days. Now, I stumbled upon this program on YouTube from a channel called Pickup Limes. She's wildly successful, has like 3.2 million subscribers at the time I'm filming this. And then she also has a handful of videos about minimalism, but that's definitely not her primary focus. So I'm just so impressed with her that she created this program that has really helped me, and that's not even her main focus. This was just like a side thing that she did. To give you some more context or background into why I was even in the minimalism area of YouTube to begin with, and it all started when we were moving out of apartments and into this home in May of 2020. And it was insane how much stuff I had accumulated in a relatively small apartment over the course of the 4 years that I was there. I remember making my like 7th or 8th trip to the car with just the hanging clothes and being like, what on earth? And so that was kind of one thing that stuck with me throughout the moving process. And then around the holidays, I look over and there's an entire box that we still hadn't unpacked since May. It was an entire box of things that I didn't even know what was in it. It clearly, the things in it didn't mean enough to me for me to even realize that they had been gone out of my life for the past 6 months. So as all of these pieces start slowly coming together, like, gosh, we moved a ton of stuff into this house, and gosh, I don't even know what's in that random box in the corner. I then started thinking about the term minimalism because I follow Matt D'Avella here on YouTube. But he's also a filmmaker on the side and had recently released these 2 Netflix movies about minimalism. And those movies star these 2 people known as the minimalists. They started a blog many years ago. It kind of chronicles how it transformed their lives. This project for me started out as like, okay, how do I get started? I do a pretty good job of cleaning things out seasonally, but I was always doing it with a mindset of like, I'm making way for more and not getting rid of things that don't make me happy. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of a mindset shift that I was slowly having. I don't know, probably a decade ago, this would have been a new concept and you might have never heard of the term, but now I feel like it's more of a movement. This is not a novel concept. I just wanted to share with you my experience. When I was going to the minimalist blog that I kind of mentioned earlier, I found their definition of minimalism. It's very interesting because as I've worked through this program, the definition now resonates with me a lot more. And so they describe minimalism as a tool to rid yourself of life's excess in favor of focusing on what's important so that you can ultimately find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. If you were to have asked me several years ago what my definition of minimalism was, I probably would have stopped at like that first phrase, which is just a tool to rid yourself of life's excess. But it's what comes after that that makes the concept or the movement now, or just the action of decluttering a little bit more meaningful. Because honestly, I took on this project and then my husband jumped on board, and so we've just slowly chipped away at our house category by category thanks to this super helpful guide from Pickup Limes. Now, one thing that she prefaces in this entire video that introduces this checklist is that you don't need to finish it in 30 days. Take it at your own pace. Or maybe you don't have clutter in some of these categories, so it's something that can be completely personalized to you, which I think coincides perfectly with the whole idea of minimalism and how it can mean different things to different people. We just started out thinking like, this is gonna be awesome. We're not gonna have to look at that box that we never unpacked, piles of clothes on our dresser, junk sitting in our bathroom drawers, but slowly it became a little bit more than that. We started out, and it starts with the really hard things, at least for me, which is like bags, purses, wallets, clothes, undergarments, shoes, beauty products, accessories. That's the bulk of what I own. In the past, I had been pretty good about cleaning out seasonally, which I mentioned before, but this time I wanted to clean out everything and do it right. For years, I had been keeping certain clothing pieces around because I think it's really cute, but I'd put it on my body and it just wouldn't be flattering. So I'd put it back in the closet, but I was always afraid to get rid of it because I actually really liked it. But the reality is, I can like lots of things, but if it doesn't fit me and I'm never gonna wear it, why is it taking up room in my closet when somebody else could probably be enjoying it? I could tell you off the top of my head what those pieces of clothing were. So I started with a different mindset this time around. And the first thing that I did was I bought new clothes hangers because I've had all of these different like mismatched hangers, like ones from Target, some plastic ones, velvet ones, wire ones from the dry cleaner. So I went and I bought new hangers and I bought a limited limited number. And my goal originally was to get my closet down from X number of pieces down to 70, which is the number of clothes hangers that I bought. And I started grabbing my very favorite pieces of clothing, like no questions asked. I will never part with that. I got it down to a pile that was less than 70. But then I went back through my closet and I was like, okay, well, I never got the chance to wear this, so I'm gonna keep that and give it another shot for a new season. So being realistic with myself, giving things a chance. But then there was another pile of clothes that was so easy to get rid of because I could identify the ones that I had held on to and never worn for years. Like I knew exactly which ones they were. And so that was also a really easy way of getting rid of things. I took that same mindset through all areas of my house. First couple days we were both focused on clothing. Then things moved on to like office and media supplies. So she says go through magazines and manuals. We don't have any magazine subscriptions, so that is not an area of clutter for us. And it's funny how you keep manuals for things that you no longer have. Like it was this ancient toaster oven. There were so many things that we were able to clean out in that area. Notebooks and textbooks, again, I've kind of already cleaned those out once I graduated college, like 6-ish years ago, so that wasn't a big area for me. But some that were, like for Brian, he keeps all receipts and we don't know why. And so he finally went through and like threw out all of those receipts. Another big category was general household items, kitchen items, phone and computers, so old technologies and stuff. Personal and miscellaneous, like your photos, your hobby supplies, sentimental items, holiday decorations. I just loved how nice it was to go through all of these different categories so that this didn't seem super daunting and overwhelming all at once. What's interesting and what came out of this is that Brian and I were able to let go of different types of things because we put sentimentality or meaning into different products, and that's okay. Just because he got rid of way more clothes than I did doesn't mean that I did a poor job. It just means that what I kept truly means something to me, which is how you get into the space of minimalism being different for every single person. Because the idea is that you're surrounding yourself with things that are useful, with things that bring you joy. That number may be different for you or your husband or your neighbor. It doesn't matter. And that's the whole beauty of this. So I would say that our biggest takeaway from this is now that when we go into our closet, it's not annoying. Like we don't have things falling off the shelves. We don't have tons of stuff crammed up there. And we originally thought like, oh, our closet is so small. And now we realize we actually have plenty of space now that we got rid of a lot of things that have just been weighing us down for years. Another big area that we felt the same way about was our kitchen. We had complained about not having enough kitchen space, but once we cleaned out all of these kind of like single-use gadgets or, you know, things that you would push out of the way to reach for the things that you truly loved, you don't have to do that anymore. And so our kitchen feels a lot bigger. It feels like we have breathing room or room to grow. So those are very obvious byproducts of it, but overall, it's taken a lot of the stress away, and I feel like beyond just getting piles of clutter out of our house, it's making our house cleaner because now we can focus on areas that need to be deep cleaned. Like we just cleaned the top of our range hood for the first time, which we didn't even have the bandwidth to think about or notice when you had piles of things on the counter stressing you out and, you know, having to be cleaned all the time. I hope that makes sense. I feel like that was a really winding way of explaining that, but that has been one of the major byproducts for us. I mentioned previously that I used to clean out my clothes all the time to be like, well, now that I got rid of 2 dresses, I can buy 2 new dresses this season. And I feel like that mindset is completely gone. I had to pop in here while I was editing to really get the point across that I think I was attempting to when I was sitting down to film the video. And that's just that at one point I really heavily relied on retail therapy. I figured if I did something hard that I deserved to go shopping and pick something out. And I was super excited about those things for like a week or two. And then over time, other things became more important or caught my attention, and I wanted those things too. Now, we still buy things. Please don't get me wrong. We haven't just stopped buying things altogether. But I think rather than us, you know, like weekly picking up 1 or 2 things that looked cool in the aisles of Target, we are reallocating that money to plan more exciting things and to spend time together. So we really like to travel and we really want to have experiences that last a lifetime. And so we're just kind of reallocating the money in a different way. It's just having a different mindset and not placing happiness in the action of buying the things. That's what I was trying to say here. Getting rid of products is so hard to do responsibly, and we really are trying to go about this in the most responsible way possible because we clearly already overconsumed, so we did not reduce in the reduce, reuse, recycle. And so now we've kind of moved on to the reuse. So as we've cleaned things out, we've kind of decided, is there a way we can repurpose this? Like old towels, could we cut those up and use those as cleaning rags? Or could we try to sell them and have somebody else use them so that they're reused? Or should we list it for free on our Facebook Marketplace and have a neighbor come pick it up? That can be almost the most paralyzing part of this, is that once you clean out, it's not like it can immediately leave your house if you're doing so responsibly. And so for the latter half of this video, I do want to share with you some resources that I've found through this whole process that can make cleaning out a little bit faster and easier for you. So I'm just going to take this category by category. There's some things that we still don't have answers for, but I will share with you as much as I've gotten through at this point. For obvious things, we'll start there. For clothes, purses, bags, wallets, shoes, and accessories, there are a million different things that you can do with this. My first approach was to monetize it because I'm like, I've spent all this money on things that I'm getting rid of. I would like some sort of return that we could put towards some other investment later on. I put out a poll on my Instagram asking where people had had the most success at selling their clothes and shoes and whatnot. And overwhelmingly the response was Poshmark. But my experience with Poshmark has been very different. I feel like you have to work so hard on that site and spend so much time promoting it, and they just have a very frustrating algorithm associated with Poshmark that for me, I barely found any success. I sold 2 pair of earrings and 1 pair of boots, and I did make like $60 on those 3 items, which I thought was a great return, but all of the clothes that I listed, no chance. A bunch of people like things. I even went through the process of offering discounted prices and free shipping and all this stuff, and people just weren't buying it because I feel like it's a really oversaturated market on Poshmark. So I personally did not find a ton of success with that site. Another thing I would suggest is taking things to a local thrift shop. Around us, it's called Uptown Cheapskate, but I've heard of a bunch of different places. So they kind of root through them and then they decide if they want to buy anything from you. And then I take the excess from that, you could donate it locally. It totally depends on your preference. Just whatever you do, don't throw your clothes away in a dumpster because that is just a complete waste, and it's just gonna go sit in landfills, and we could just do a lot better than that. And you can do the same with bags, shoes, everything. A lot of those same resale sites, just like Poshmark or even the thrift shops and stuff, will take the same thing. Okay, so then for office and media supplies, mainly talking about CDs, DVDs, records, books, anything kind of entertainment related, we took ours to a place called Half Price Books, but we also have another store near us called the Movie Trading Company. Those are places that resell other people's old stuff, and so you can get a payout from that. And then again, anything that doesn't sell, we just tend to donate, or you could list it for free maybe in your neighborhood's Facebook Marketplace. Another thing that I thought was really confusing, like I didn't know what to do with it, was old prescription glasses. And for those, you can take them to your local Walmart, and they oftentimes partner with an organization that will take your glasses and then make sure that they're distributed to people in need. And my mom actually shared that little tip with me. I had totally forgotten about that at the counters when you check out at the eyeglass stores. Electronics, so things like old iPods or computers or hard drives, things like that. Be sure that you wipe them completely so that none of your data is just kind of out in the world. And then you can take them to a bunch of different recycling centers at big box electronics stores. So I know Best Buy has a really robust electronics recycling program. So that's what we opted to do. But we also noticed that in our neighborhood, you could call and have the bulk pickup people come and pick those up for you and recycle them responsibly. So that's another option, and you don't even have to leave your house. Undergarments, kind of a weird thing to think about, but if you were cleaning out underwear, bras, things of that nature, oftentimes donation places near me, different organizations and charities, don't accept them. That is kind of like an intimate item and cannot always be the most trusted to be sanitary, I guess. So I did end up finding this site called Nikki that allows you to mail in your old undergarments, and they basically sterilize them and recycle them properly so that they can be made into new garments. And so that's what I opted to do. You simply go on their website and you list out, like, I have this number of bras, this number of socks, this number of underwear. Then it gives you a shipping label based on the weight, and then you put that on a box, you send it off, and then they give you a voucher for like a free pair of underwear from their website, which was pretty cool. But since I just cleaned it out, I didn't actually redeem that, but that is an added benefit of going with them. For your beauty products, This can be a little bit tricky because you don't want to donate expired products, obviously. It's probably best if you dispose of those. But other donation places won't take any items that are opened. Obviously, that could be kind of a health risk. So for those things, I would either ask a family member or a close friend if they want it. If they don't, then dispose of it properly. And then lastly, if you have any unopened, like the seal is still on them type beauty products, some charities and different organizations will accept those as donations as long as they are completely unopened. A lot of the places that I've donated to are just local to Dallas, but oftentimes I find that these places are women's shelters or different organizations that help women trying to get a job. So if there's a place where you could donate like a suit or something like that, they'll oftentimes take unopened makeup as well. I keep what I call an important documents folder. For a lot of the sensitive documents like old bank statements that may have an account number on them, old credit card statements, old credit cards in general, be sure that you always shred that. And another tip is to maybe separate it into different trash bags. So in case some scoundrel is out there trying to get your personal information, it'll be really hard to piece together if the different shreds are in different garbage bags. Again, we still have a couple of categories to go. Some categories that just weren't weighing on us, or they're kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so we're just taking it slowly and at our own pace. Okay, and that is pretty much all that I have for you today. So I hope that maybe my lessons from completing this 30 Days to Minimalism challenge, if you will, and the resources that I provided are helpful to you. And if you have any questions or comments, or maybe you went through the same program, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll have the 30 Days to Minimalism PDF link and the video from Pickup Limes linked in the description box in case you want to get started. And one thing that she notes too is that it's a constant work in progress. After you go through it once, you have to kind of routinely clean out because you come to find how quickly you can accumulate a lot of junk again. And so you don't want to end up back at square one. So doing one big clean out and then maintaining it is obviously a much easier way to go about things. So if you like this video, then like it. Stick around, subscribe, join the community, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.